So, recently, I made a couple of videos on my channel where instead of sitting inside and playing League of Legends all day, I got out of the house, went out in nature, and honestly, it was really fun. Filming outdoors instead of in a cold white room was really enjoyable. It felt good to literally touch grass, and it got me thinking, I probably spend way too much time indoors and way too much time on the internet. This is a thought I'm sure we all have sometimes, right? Like, logically, I understand that when I'm on my deathbed, looking back on my life, I'm not going to be thinking, gee, I wish I spent more time on Twitter. I hope I'm not thinking about Twitter at all on my deathbed. We all acknowledge and recognize that social media is not a positive force in our life, but very few people seem to actually leave some of these websites that we complain about so much. But I kind of want to try. Starting today, I'm going to quit the internet for the next 30 days and see what happens. The idea or goal behind this challenge is something that many people have talked about before. In fact, there are people who have written books on it before, which is that a lot of us use the internet in very unintentional ways. We go to online spaces not for a specific purpose, but just to kill some time, and maybe life would be better off if we didn't do that. That's kind of the goal of what I'm trying to achieve here, is to stop myself from getting in the habit of endlessly scrolling social media or various web pages that I know is not actually providing me any sort of benefit in my life. And to that end, I've set up 3 rules. Rule number 1 is that I'm going to be cutting out all social media. Specifically, I am not going to be going on Reddit or Twitter, full stop. These are the 2 websites I waste the most amount of my time on, and I think my life would be better off without either of them. Rule number 2, I'm also going to cut out all internet apps on my phone, as well as disable my web browser. I don't want to be accessing the internet at all if I'm not at my computer and doing it for a specific work purpose, and this should hopefully help with that. Rule number 3 is I'm going to limit YouTube. I still have to get on YouTube for work-related purposes, but I'm going to tell myself I'm not going to watch any YouTube videos unless I'm doing it with somebody else. If I go on YouTube at a computer, that should be for a specific purpose, like to upload a video. And lastly, I'm going to try to quit as much other additional stuff that is not in any way productive. No online games or random scrolling, looking at news feeds or something. Like, I want to see if life really does get better if you cut the internet out of it as much as possible. This sort of challenge is something I've seen a lot of people do on YouTube before. There's a lot of people who've done, I quit my phone for 30 days, or I lived without internet for an X period of time. And every person that makes a video like this talks about how their life becomes perfect once they cut out the internet, which is kind of why I want to try it. But I do realize it is a pretty stupid idea for someone whose job it is to be a social media influencer to completely cut social media out of their life. That's why I'm recording this, because hopefully, even if things do go south, I can at least get some entertaining content for YouTube. Okay, so it is the morning of day 1 of the 30-day no internet challenge, and I completely forgot that I'm going on a trip to the mountains this weekend to spend some quality time with my in-laws. Yeah, that's right. I drink fruity, delicious beer filled with flavor. Oh, what a crime. Go tell Andrew Tate. Okay, so this trip was actually a really interesting way to start this challenge off, because if all I wanted to do was spend some more time in nature, it's hard to beat some of the views I got here. On day 1, we drove on the Blue Ridge Parkway up to the cabin where we were staying, and upon arrival, we were met with some absolutely gorgeous scenery. It was a great start to the trip, and the first few days were filled with lots of relaxing fun, plenty of hiking, and my fiance's family are all perfectly fine people. I was just joking. But then, about halfway through the trip, I started to grow kind of frustrated because I couldn't go on the internet at all since I uninstalled everything from my phone, which meant no checking up on esports, no looking at baseball scores, no nothing. I'm also a little bit like a child in that I have a lot of questions about the world that I normally go to my phone to look up the answers for, but since I couldn't do that, I just had to pester my poor fiance with every stupid thought I had all trip.
So a fungus isn't a plant or an animal, right?
Correct. Something.
What is it?
It's a fungi. It's a fungus. It's like how we say plant or animal. It's fungus.
What kingdom is a fungus in?
And fungi.
Oh, the fungi is the kingdom.
Yeah.
Where are honeysuckles native to? Do you think Lyme disease was named for a person or a place? How many different species of birds are there? What kind of flowers are those? Do you think named Lyme disease?
I don't know.
All in all, this was a wonderful weekend with family and friends, but I was starting to question by the end of it whether it had been made better because I arbitrarily cut myself off from using the internet. But then I figured maybe this is just a bit of shock because it's the start of the challenge. I'm sure things will get better once I'm back home. Okay, so today was a f***ing nightmare. Early this morning, at the very start of the day, this little dog Lucy jumped up on the countertop and ate a gigantic bar of chocolate. Yeah, you did. As I'm sure everybody knows, chocolate is poison for dogs. If they eat it, they will die. Yes, you will. You're not allowed to eat chocolate, Lucy. I know. So we gave her hydrogen peroxide to try and make her throw up, but she wouldn't throw up. And then we read online that apparently the dog has to maybe sometimes move to get the hydrogen peroxide bubbling to make him throw up. So we tried to move her around by running all around the house, and she still would not throw up. So then we started panicking, and we realized that she probably had to go to the vet. So we called the vet, and then they said, yeah, you definitely got to bring her in. So then I hopped in the car, put her in the back seat, sped to the vet way faster than I probably should have, and they immediately whisked her away into a back room where they said they were going to give her medication to make her throw up. And I was just so worried that my dog was going to die, and I couldn't look at my phone to distract me. I couldn't go on the internet. She had to spend pretty much the entire day at the vet for monitoring, but she finally just came home and everything is good. Thankfully. But today was a nightmare that was made so much worse by the fact that I couldn't go on my phone. I couldn't go on the internet to distract myself. I just had to sit with my fears and anxieties and frustrations and terror. I picked the wrong week to quit the internet. The rest of the 30 days should not be this awful. All right, life is finally calming down a bit. I am settling into my new no-internet lifestyle, which for the most part is kind of just boring. The other day I went to the used bookstore and I got this book, Daily Rituals, which is a chronicle of the daily routines and lifestyles of a bunch of great artists and scientists and writers across history that I picked up because I thought, you know, I'm kind of curious what the hell people did before the internet. It's kind of funny. Whoever it is that owned this book before me wrote down all these little calculations to try to see how long each person lived. They presumably got this book for a very different reason than myself. I'm only about a fourth of the way through it, but the biggest lesson I've learned so far is that a lot of writers across history did not work as often as I thought they did. Many of them only wrote for like 3 hours a day and filled the rest of their day taking lots of walks in nature. So I'm gonna start trying to do that, taking lots of walks. This was such a mistake. So after day 7, things did start looking up for a time. Over the course of the next few days, I was successfully avoiding social media and the internet, replacing them with going on plenty of hikes and reading more books. It felt kind of empty. In the back of my mind, there was still one thing I'd rather be doing than anything else right now, but I kept telling myself all these hikes must be good for me. I'm sure they're doing wonders for my mental health. But then on day 10, I was trying to record a little update video for you on this walk where I was using this new setup I got. I was really excited about it because with this new camera that just came in, along with my new wireless microphone system, I could pin a mic directly to my shirt while then plugging a receiver into the camera, and in theory, the audio would record directly to the video with no need to sync everything in post like I normally have to. So I went on this hike on a random Monday, recording some of the beautiful nature, talking to the camera for a good 30-45 minutes, really excited to try all this out, when suddenly I realized the receiver fell out of the camera at some point.
Oh shit. What the hell? Where's that go? You gotta be kidding me.
I had to spend hours slowly pacing up and down this trail, looking back and forth, trying to find where the hell it fell out, because this mic was some $300 and I couldn't afford to get another one. Not only that, it was 95 degrees outside. I got so sweaty, it was absolutely terrible. Thankfully, I finally found it after 3 hours of looking. It was under a leaf that was not far from where I first noticed it missing. But I was so bummed out at this point. I mean, I was glad I found the receiver, but the whole day felt like it was completely wasted. So in an effort to make something out of it, I started recording again. But then, as I kept on hiking, I almost stepped on a snake, which scared the hell out of me.
Almost just gave me a heart attack. Yeah, I see you.
I'm a little bit worried quitting the internet has somehow cursed me. My dog tried to leave this mortal coil, and now there are snakes. Okay, it is now day 15. Everybody give it up for day 15. We are now halfway through the challenge, and this is awful. I went into this video with the expectation that it would be a really positive experience for me. Everybody that does videos like this talks about how great their life becomes when they remove the internet or social media. But that has not been my experience at all. The biggest thing that sucks is that I never realized how much the internet allows me to engage in interests and hobbies that I care very deeply about, which I guess sounds obvious in hindsight. Like esports, for example. All of esports is so integrally tied to Twitter and Reddit, which might actually be why esports is really struggling right now. I'm trying to not watch any YouTube or Twitch, so I can't really watch any games or any VODs of matches going on, and all of the discussion is done on these social media sites, so I can't really keep up with the narratives that exist within the community, which is really awful timing for this challenge because this is also right when the summer split is coming to an end and playoffs are happening, and I have no idea what's going on. All I can really do is check Leaguepedia to see like results after stuff happens, and that's just giving me more questions. Like T1 is on an awful losing streak right now, and they also have a sub mid laner listed. Is Faker not playing right now? Is Faker... What's going on there? I want to talk about that. I also can't get any updates on all of the traditional sports that I follow, which I know you guys who watch my videos are mostly gamers that don't care about this stuff, but I'm a huge college football fan, and I saw on a newspaper the other day that Colorado is leaving the Pac-12 to rejoin the Big 12, which they left when, like... Oh, I don't know if I can explain how big of a deal that is. Is the Pac-12 about to die? Are Washington and Oregon finally going to join the Big Ten? Is what's going to happen with San Diego State? And is Arizona going to join the Big 12? Like, oh my God. Oh, and the MLB trade deadline. So like the one sport that I really love and I've been keeping up with is baseball. And I also timed this challenge so that the MLB trade deadline is in like 36 hours from now or something. And I can't just be sitting on Reddit F5ing to see the trades as they come in. It is killing me. But I think the worst part about all of this is that I've just been stuck with my own thoughts and nothing to distract me, which has been an absolute nightmare because I have turned into a chronic overthinker. Like all I do every day now is I sit at home and I work, or if I'm not working, maybe I'm reading or exercising or something. But the majority of my mental stimulation now just comes from working on videos. And like this video, for example, I've been working on editing and like gathering and organizing this footage as I've been filming because I have nothing else to do. And I'll like film a little update over the course of a day and then import the footage onto my computer, maybe make a couple cuts in Adobe Premiere. And I don't know if this is just me getting in my own head, but I feel like this is the worst video I've ever made. Why did I think that people who watch League of Legends documentaries would want to watch me do this? Oh yeah, G-Bay, let's take the one thing that makes you interesting and cut it out of your life and film it. That'll be a great YouTube video. I'm working on a lot of projects right now. Like I am spending a lot of time working. I have a big multi-part documentary series that I'm producing, and I'm also making a couple other more personal adventure type documentary videos, but they all just feel like garbage. I feel like I can't make anything good. Cutting out the internet has only cut out all of the interests and hobbies and fun things that I like, and I don't think it's made me a better person, and I'm only halfway through. All right, so I have to come clean. I kind of cheated on the challenge the other day. As a quick recap, the two places I'm physically barred from going at the moment are Reddit and Twitter, which I am only now realizing are sites kind of integral to engaging with hobbies that I care very deeply about, and I've been having an uncontrollable itch to engage with these hobbies once again. In particular, I have to know what is going on with college sports and conference realignment. As a very brief rundown for any of you who don't follow college sports, the conference that your school plays in, that your athletics participate in, matter a lot. Conferences are these sometimes over 100-year-old institutions that determine your prestige. It determines how much funding your school gets from various media rights deals. It can determine how you make various different playoff structures. And I mean, there's so much tradition and so many rivalries and all this stuff. What conference you're in matters a lot. Every once in a while, when TV rights deals are up, conferences will change as schools will look to oftentimes move to what they perceive as being a better conference. And if you're a fan for especially a middling or lower tier school, then it can be a really big deal. I mean, changing conferences will happen within like the news cycle of a week, and it can drastically alter the trajectory of your favorite program for the next 10 or 20 years. So I've been just dying. I have to know what's going on with conference realignment. I cannot handle not knowing anymore, which is what caused me to do something a little bit silly the other day. The other day, I went on to YouTube because I was sent a link that said the University of Florida State was going to be having a board of trustees meeting that they were streaming live, and I watched it.
These dollars are dedicated for hiring prominent research faculty, particularly in the STEM fields.
To be clear, I've never gone to Florida State. I don't know anybody who has ever gone to Florida State. I have no connection with this university whatsoever, but I was glued to my screen, excitedly watching what I'm sure most people would call a very bland and boring board meeting. I was just watching in the hopes that they would talk about like conference realignment or what was going on with the ACC and what their plans were for the future. Like, I was watching this as if it was an episode of Succession or something. And worst of all, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Do we want to play games moving forward, or do we want to compete?
When the next TV contract comes up, we will be a third-rate conference at that point.
You know, I want to compete at the highest level.
Their next TV deal comes up before our TV deal, guys.
Yes, I think that we should really just believe in ourselves.
It was absurdly entertaining to me. I cared way too much about what these people were saying, and I mean, I recognize watching a YouTube stream totally breaks rule number 3. This is not in line with the spirit of this challenge at all. But I don't know, man. I'm not having fun at this point. Like, I am being more productive. I'm spending more time working on YouTube videos, and I am going outside more frequently, but that is starting to lose its luster. Like, the other day, I went out disc golfing, and I stepped on a snake. There was another snake. Why are there snakes? Okay, so I have an exciting little positive development, finally. The other day, I had to go on Twitter because I had a business responsibility that I completely forgot about and had to take care of quickly. So I took Twitter off my blocker to log on and just fix this for 5 minutes. And I noticed that apparently Twitter is rebranding to X, and they are taking the Jagex logo from RuneScape. Now this served as a really interesting wake-up call that kind of reminded me why I wanted to do this challenge in the first place. As much as I've been joking about how cursed my life has become without the internet, it has been nice how positive life has become without constantly being bombarded with the worst of social media. I miss a lot of the connections and the interests and hobbies that I had, but I don't miss Reddit or Twitter themselves pretty much at all. Twitter, especially ever since it's come under new ownership, has just turned into an absolute cesspool of the worst that humanity has to offer. It feels like it's become a place that is trying to, I don't know, have a business model that constantly gets you to engage through nothing but rage clicks or something. Reddit isn't really that much better. I mean, both of these sites seem to have a problem where if I ever go on to one of them for a specific purpose, like spamming F5 to check up on news, then I always end up getting distracted by something that makes me feel worse for having consumed it, which is why I wanted to do this whole challenge in the first place. It has been a much better experience, unironically, to come out here and touch some grass. I actually forgot to mention, the way that I'm preventing myself from going on either of these sites is with a blocker that I put on my web browser, where if I ever try to access either of them, it won't let me. And something interesting about the first few days of doing this challenge was that I kept on trying to go on both Reddit and Twitter all the time. Like, I'd be working on a video script, or I'd be editing a project together or something, and I would end up hitting a snag, a moment of frustration, and then before I even realized it, I would open a Chrome tab and try to go on Reddit or Twitter, and then I would just see the stupid block face that would pop up and tell me I'm not allowed to go there. And it kind of shocked me. I wasn't thinking about going on either of these sites. It became an instinctual habit that I could not stop myself from doing. Spending time in the real world hasn't exactly been perfect, but it has had certain benefits, and there certainly are parts of the internet I don't miss. So 3 weeks have passed since we first started this challenge, and in this period of time, I think I've honestly learned a lot. My life has become weird and kind of dumb without the internet. I think it was a mistake to buy into the influencer message that online equals bad, and in quitting the internet, I totally threw the baby out with the bathwater. Online communities and spaces allowed me to connect to hobbies and interests that I care very deeply about, and my life is not better not being able to engage with them. That being said, there have been benefits to quitting the internet. Life certainly is better when you don't have social media algorithms throwing all sorts of negative headlines at you every second of every day. I certainly have enjoyed going outside too. I mean, it has been a real treat to spend some more time in nature, even with all of the wildlife. But I certainly could have engaged in some of these healthier habits of going outside or not scrolling social media posts so much without quitting the internet entirely. To summarize, technology is not inherently evil. This challenge was pretty dumb. Online influencers lied to me. So while I don't think that I am ever going to go back to being a regular Twitter user or X user, or whatever people are calling themselves, a lot has changed in these 3 weeks. I do miss the internet, and my life is not better without it. I'm very excited for this challenge to be done, but I don't want to quit it prematurely. See, if I was the kind of guy who did believe in curses, all of the snakes would have me a little bit worried. I may have angered the internet gods of the online world, so I would like to offer up some sort of penance. But that gave me a little bit of an interesting idea. What if I were to come up with a ritual sacrifice to offer said internet gods to remove whatever potential curse may be afflicting me? What if I were to create a YouTube video, you know, do my job. Starting now, I'm gonna set a goal and say, I'm going to create, upload, and release a main channel GBay99 YouTube video, and I am not gonna end this challenge until I do so. That's kind of an important thing. I'm not gonna allow self-doubt creep into my mind and let me cancel another YouTube project because I think that I'm not a good creator. I'm going to finish something, and whatever state it's in, I'm gonna release it so I can get out of this weird experience. Now, there is a little bit of an issue, which is that right now, all of the video projects I'm currently working on are way too big for me to finish within a week. I am currently working on a big multi-part League of Legends documentary series, as well as some other more personal adventure-type documentaries, but they're all like 30 minutes long. I can't finish any of them right now. But I do have a solution. Earlier this year, I scrapped a YouTube video I was working on that feels weirdly appropriate to finish this video off with. That's because this video idea was all about a Reddit post. 10 years ago, the League of Legends subreddit created a time capsule chronicling the era of League that existed back then, with the presumption that future generations could look back on said post and learn a little bit about the game's history. Seeing as I am such a history buff for League of Legends, I, at the start of the year, thought, oh, this is the 10-year anniversary of that time capsule. I could totally make a video on it. But I allowed self-doubt to creep in and got me to cancel the project. I figured that, oh, it's not going to be entertaining for me just reading a Reddit post. I can't make this interesting or original. But you know what? I think finally making that video might be the perfect way to finish this challenge. So I guess it's time to get to work. So, it is now August 14th, 2023, and the video is out. It's done. People are watching it on YouTube, which means the challenge is over and I am free. Fly like a free! Making this video is actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. Over the course of this entire production cycle, I was constantly second-guessing myself. I just felt like everything I was saying was not interesting, that people wouldn't want to hear it. It would make for a terrible YouTube video. It wasn't up to the standards of quality that I try to hold myself to, even though I'm just a League of Legends YouTuber. And then when I filmed it too, like, So the first half of the video is fine, but then in the second half, for some reason, the footage gets all wiggly, which I don't know what happened there. I'm thinking maybe the camera overheated while I was out in the 95-degree heat, and then like it messed up the shutter speed or something. When I saw that wiggly footage, it almost destroyed me. Like I was thinking, oh God, I can't release this. I need to reshoot it, or maybe remake everything from scratch, or maybe just scrap the entire video and also scrap the 30-day challenge. But then I figured, you know what? I gotta stop canceling projects for no good reason, and I just put it out, and people seem to be loving it. I mean, it's got 90,000 views right now, which is insane. I released it earlier this morning. I wish my documentaries would get 90,000 views in a day. Actually, I should mention, everybody seems to like it, except for one person who left a fantastic comment that I would like to share with you. I am the 17th dislike, a bit doomer, and IDK, I feel like you just read a Reddit post to me, and I hate Reddit. You know what, man? Fair enough. I'm so excited to have this challenge done, though, and since completing this challenge, I have rejoined the internet, which I'm very happy and excited about. In particular, there were two things that I rushed to do. Firstly, I got on RuneScape to play some RuneScape, but then secondly, I also rejoined Reddit and Twitter, and my experience going back to these websites was not what I expected at all. When I logged on to both, I was really excited to rejoin the communities that I had not gotten to be a part of for such a long period of time, but getting on Twitter in particular just felt like a weird kind of sensory overload, like I was an Amish boy that just went on Rumspringa. In particular, I remember the first two posts, literally the first two posts I saw when I got back on Twitter. Firstly, I saw some guy just flaming a YouTuber for no good reason. There's a YouTuber that I know that I like a lot of the stuff that he makes, and there was some guy that just saw his thumbnail and then criticized it and tried to whip up this mob, even though the thumbnail wasn't representative of the video. It was kind of a joke, but then he admitted that he didn't even watch the video. But then the second post I saw was from that weird website Dexerto that's always promoted. I thought they were like a journalism place, like a esports gaming journalism website, but they just tweeted like Drake unfollowed some podcaster on Instagram. They were like reporting it like it was news. And seeing these posts and then seeing all of the other garbage that's constantly on Twitter kind of reminded me about how much I hate that website, or X, I guess I should call it now. Reddit wasn't much better. Like, it can be fun to hang out in smaller Reddit communities that are more concentrated about a specific subject, like in particular sports communities. It can be fun to read game threads whenever you're watching a sporting event, but Reddit is kind of a similar sort of thing where you read so many comments, you read so many lines of text that you won't remember for 48 hours. Enough text to fill a book that you will have completely forgotten within a year. And it's such a waste. It kind of reminded me why I did this challenge in the first place again. And you know what? I think I'm not going to come back to either of these websites. My experience doing this challenge has been really interesting because it's really shown me how the internet is just a tool. It's something that you can use for good or ill, which is maybe the most obvious statement in the universe. I'm totally going to keep on getting on Twitter and Reddit for specific purposes. Like, if there is news of college football realignment and all this news is breaking from some reporter who is tweeting out articles when the news breaks, like, I will refresh that Twitter page. I will go there. That's exciting news that I want to follow. The whole Pac-12 died while I was doing this challenge, by the way. So yeah, rejecting these sites in their totality is totally a dumb idea, but wow, they are not fun places to spend time if you're not going there for a specific reason. And I think that's what this challenge has taught me. I'm going to stop going on these websites when I don't actually have a purpose or reason for doing so. Which kind of leads me to my second part of the return to the internet, which is I got to play some RuneScape. Oh my god, that was like the best feeling of my life. I logged on RuneScape, I did the whole new rune crafting boss minigame thing, which is very fun, and I got 2 rune crafting levels. Right now, I am almost at like a really clean looking base 75s, which I am so excited about. And getting back on RuneScape has also kind of reminded me, you know, This is going to sound really pretentious, but life is a lot like RuneScape. If you get on and you don't have anything to do, you don't have any purpose or anything that's driving you or any goal that you have set, then that is going to be really boring and really sad and really dumb, and you'll get depressed and you'll want to quit. But if you are going somewhere, if you have a goal that you've set and you are trying to accomplish something specific that you're working towards, oh my God, that is the best part about being a human being. When you set a goal and you work towards accomplishing it, that is such an enjoyable way to spend your time. And I think that's what this challenge really lacked. My experience quitting the internet failed because I didn't set any goals or pick up any new hobbies that I tried to improve at or something. Like if I quit the internet and used that as an opportunity to see how good I could get at knitting, then maybe that could be really fun. But just taking away so much of the community and hobbies and things that I care about without replacing them with something new is just gonna lead to depression, because the internet is not the inherent evil in the world. It is not the thing that is destroying people's lives. Any online influencer that's telling you all technology is the bane of our existence is either misinformed or they're lying to you. I guess if there's a lesson in all of this, you should be careful in what you choose to consume. There are a lot of social media algorithms out there that are trying to make you engage with their websites, and they will do so even in ways that will make you upset. But as long as you're avoiding things that aren't worth paying attention to, just make a choice in where you decide to go, and as long as you make the choice, I think you'll be better off for it. And with all that being said, I think I'm going to get back to some RuneScape.